With a Walt Disney World vacation free.
Natural, ripe tomatoes, Romano cheese, garlic.
The Templars and the Saracens, the traveling of all the land.
Can't beat the feeling.
Ich möchte euch sagen, ich bin nicht der Queer oder gegen irgendeine Regierung. Ich bin gekommen, um Rock'n'Roll zu spielen für Ostberliner.
In der Hoffnung, dass eines Tages alle Barrieren abgerissen werden.
When looking back at the decade of the 1980s, one might recall the loud fashion, the memorable coming-of-age movies, and the bubbly dance music. However, look closer into the Western world and you'll see a place of tension built up over 3 decades. Look even closer and you'll see the modern country of Germany divided, both physically and also in the minds of leaders and citizens, many wishing for its two parts to be reunited again. The eerie symbol of this time in history, the Berlin Wall, stretching over 97 miles around West Germany, which was made up of the United States, Britain, and France. Built by the East German Soviet Union regime, the wall's purpose was to surround West Germany and prevent those on both sides from crossing the heavily guarded border. Why was this wall put up in the first place? Let us travel back to post-war Europe in the 1940s. In World War II, the United States joined forces with France, Britain, and the Soviet Union in opposition to the German Nazi regime, which allied with Japan and the Kingdom of Italy.
Victory and peace at last, and the boys would soon be coming home.
After the war ended and Nazi Germany had been defeated, the nation of Germany was divided into 4 sectors, each occupied by one of the 4 victorious Western countries, including the Soviet Union. These divisions were seen as temporary, but problems arose as the United States, Britain, France, and the Soviet Union each had different views for the future of post-war Europe. The Soviet Union strongly wished for Europe to consist of loyal communist nations, including Germany, which now had an extremely weak economy. The Soviets were at odds with the non-communist governments of the United States, England, and France. As a result, on May 23, 1946, the Federal Republic of Germany was formed in the west of the nation as the 3 allied nations came together and combined their occupation zones. In response, the Soviet Union established the German Democratic Republic in the east of the country. In the Eastern Soviet satellite states, or the Eastern Bloc, which included the German Democratic Republic, Poland, Hungary, Romania, and Bulgaria, Western trade was restricted. A border known as the Imaginary Iron Curtain was formed between the East and the West, posing as a symbol of the Cold War between Western Europe and the Eastern Bloc. East Germans were originally banned from leaving the German Democratic Republic, but in Berlin, the border was in walking distance. Once East Germans crossed over to the west side, they could continue to travel anywhere they wanted. 3.5 million Easterners escaped to the west this way, disobeying the Eastern Bloc immigration restrictions. After all, the East's resources were being taken by the Soviet Union and used as war compensations, while reconstruction of West Germany was funded by the United States, France, and Britain. Everyday life in East Germany was constantly patrolled by Stasi, the East German secret police that watched the citizens for signs of disloyalty. Because people were using Berlin as a stepping stone from one side of Germany to the other, at midnight on August 13, 1961, the German Democratic Republic began to construct a wall of barbed wire. The order to close the Berlin border and erect a wall was signed on August 12 by German Democratic Republic State Council Chairman Walter Ulbricht. East German workers started to tear up streets next to the border and install barbed wire fences stretching 97 miles around 3 western sectors and 27 miles dividing East and West Berlin. The first of large concrete portions of the wall were put up on August 17th. In time, chain fences, minefields, and other barriers were built along East Germany's western border, land being cleared around it to make it easy for appointed guards ordered to shoot at anyone trying to flee over the wall to see their targets. In addition, over 300 watchtowers were constructed to watch over the citizens of the German Democratic Republic. The benefits of Eastern communism, with a stable economy as a result of the fact that the Eastern workforce was prevented from leaving, in addition to free healthcare and education, were rivaled by higher salaries and greater amounts of consumer goods and personal freedom in the West.
They would put on a big charade relative to how good they were doing as a community, or East Berlin, right? By putting these false storefronts up and putting the commodities that they had just in the front window, but there was no substance behind stock in the back of the store. They would just put everything and display it to try to compete with West Berlin relative to the wonderful shops and businesses that we had in West Berlin.
West Germany became a capitalist country and had a democratic parliamentary government. Due to the desire for Western luxuries, around 5,000 people successfully crossed the border from the east over to West Germany using multiple strategies, some extremely dangerous. Over 136 people died in the process, some being shot in full view of the Western public, and in 1972 a basic treaty was passed that recognized East Germany as a sovereign state, while West Germany still wished for the reunification of the two sides. Over time, however, the ties began to change as East Germany began to allow family visits, and by the end of the 1980s, the political changes in Eastern Europe shed light on more liberal ideas. East Germany was going broke trying to keep up with the arms race and the Cold War. This competition, along with revolutions in nearby Eastern Bloc countries, tempted the government of East Germany to loosen some of the regulations on Western travel even more. On the night of November 9, 1989, the East tried to answer protests by making travel permits much easier to acquire. A television broadcast of a press conference in which East German Politburo member Günter Schabowski announced that restrictions on Eastern travel visas were to be completely lifted, lured thousands of East Berliners to the west border, prompting the confused and startled guards to open the gates. The people of East Berlin flooded into the west, and the night consisted of celebrations with citizens climbing on top of the wall, using hammers and other tools to destroy portions of it. As a result of the dissolved border and free travel, Germany was reunified in October of 1990, followed by the fall of the Soviet Union.
So what can we learn from this time in history? Maybe we should look back at David Bowie's performance at the 3-day 1987 Concert for Berlin festival held near Reichstag, the headquarters of West Germany's parliament. The music on the second night was so loud that a crowd gathered on the east side of the wall and they could be heard singing along to the songs being played. One of those songs was Heroes, taken off of Bowie's 1977 album of the same name, which was recorded in Berlin. The lyrics describe two lovers, one living on the east side of the Berlin Wall and the other living on the west. Loud music was prohibited in the German Democratic Republic, and so to voice the heartbreaking desires of the East Germans wishing for the freedom granted in the West, chants of "The Wall Must Fall" began amongst the citizens being forced back by the Soviet guards. There was a feeling of unity between the East and the West, and today David Bowie and the simple human desires of fun, freedom, and music are credited with bringing the border that divided the two ends down for good.
Of my doctoral thesis when a friend called me and said, "Turn on the TV, the wall's down." And I thought she was pulling my leg.
Stated by Constance Stelzenmoller in her 2019 interview with Fareed Zakaria on CNN, East Germans wanted everything that the West Germans wanted, rock and roll and Coca-Cola. The fall of the Berlin Wall teaches us that we are not as different as we think. It reminds us that people have the power to use their voices to change what they don't like about the world. Barriers, in this case a physical one, can be broken if we believe in ourselves and not let others silence us. When the power of love is greater than the love of power, the world will know peace. That is something we must all remember. And may our starman rest in peace.